Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, the Slovenia vlogs are over and you might think the Balkan vlogs are over now, but don't worry, I still have a few more Balkan vlogs up my sleeve. While you are watching this, I am currently on my sailing season again on the Mediterranean, working in both Croatia and Greece. So my Dubrovnik vlog is still coming up. The sailing Croatia vlog is coming up, working as a host. And in between our Croatia and Greece season, we have planned a week in Albania. So we are seeing the south of Albania still as well. So all of that is still coming up. But in this video, I will focus on anything you need to know if you are planning a trip to Slovenia. And if you are, you're lucky because it is so beautiful. I think it's one of my favorite countries I have ever been. But we'll be talking about when is the best time to go, where you should go, just general things you need to know, getting around, what everything has cost us, and so on. So let's get into it. Let's start with when is the best time to go. May to October is the high season, but it is generally the best time to go. The winter time, especially up in the mountains, can be very cold, but also certain roads might be inaccessible, hiking trails might be inaccessible, and so on. So I would generally try to avoid the winter months. We went in springtime, which meant that the wildflowers were blooming and booming. They were so gorgeous. I highly recommend coming in May, especially the first half of May, because they might be mowing them by the second half of May. They are leaving them to grow without mowing them for quite a while because of the insects, which I find amazing. I did, however, have the worst allergies. I'm allergic to grass and I suffered during this time of the year, which is why I think that autumn must be a really good time to go as well. When the leaves turn color, when it is still nice and warm, the water of the coastline will have warmed up all summer, so it'll be a good time to visit the coast without too many crowds as well. So I do think if I would go back, I would go back in autumn. On top of this, it is the time of the year when the first wine is harvested and produced, so the first wine of the season is available for tasting, and mushrooms and berries fill the forests. If you do want to enjoy the snow in Slovenia, then there are quite a few slopes that you can hit. Once you know when to go, then it's time to have a look at how you will get around. We drove there all the way from Belgium, so we had our own car, but you can definitely rent a car or you can get around with the Flixbus. Flixbus apparently is the most affordable and just very useful way of getting from one place to another. I don't have any personal experience with that, but it is what I read online. If you do have your own car, then definitely make sure that the places you are staying have its own parking space so that you don't have to park in the road or pay for parking, etc. Parking in general, for example, in the east of the country was very affordable and it's even free on Saturday afternoons and Sundays. So in Maribor, for example, and Ptuj, we did not have to pay for parking because it was the weekend. But in places like Bled, even on the weekends, it's €3 an hour. So this is quite expensive. This area was kind of the most expensive when it came to parking. The coastline was fine. I believe we paid €4 for 2 hours in Piran. When we visited a few of the attractions like the cave, generally we paid about €6, but you do spend quite a bit of time there. So in the end, it's fine. A rule that you must know about before driving in Slovenia is that your headlights must be on at all times. If you need any information, the Traffic Information Center website always has very up-to-date information about certain mountain passes being closed and so on. Right, now let's have a look at where you will be going. I already mentioned a few places, but generally there are, I would say, maybe 5 areas in the country to visit. The first is the coastline. The coastline is not that long. There's about 3 places along the coastline that are popular for visitors. We went to Koper, which is not that big. It just has a beautiful main square with the historical buildings around it. You can see everything in detail in the separate vlogs that I made already. And then there is Izola, which is smaller but very cozy. And the biggest one, the most popular one, is Piran. It is very picturesque, very beautiful. But I must say, we saw that most Slovenians, when they get the chance, that's not where they go. They actually just cross the border and go to Istria, to Croatia. There you still have a lot more of these beautiful coastal towns in case one place or the other gets too crowded. I also made a separate video about this part of Croatia. And if you're up for it, why not make a quick trip to Italy like we did? We paired the Slovenian coast with a trip to Trieste in Italy, the coffee capital of Italy, and we even drove all the way to Venice, which is only 2 hours away from the Slovenian coast. But now we are getting a bit off track, going on a few side quests like we did. But let's go back to Slovenia now. We then visited central Slovenia with Ljubljana, which is the capital. Every Friday during the summertime, there is a big food market, which I highly recommend. This was one of the highlights of my Slovenia trip. I love food. During the day, we visited the two most important caves, I would say, of all of Europe. The Postojna cave does have the reputation of being the biggest cave of Europe and just the most popular one to visit, which means it does get quite busy, but there is a train that takes you into the cave. And we already had our jaws on the floor just from the train ride. And then we still had to see the whole cave. It was amazing. And they have an endemic species that you can only see in this part of the world, which is called the olm or the human fish. It's a salamander that lives in these caves. And I thought, is there really any point in going to the second cave? Since, I mean, this one was so amazing. It also has the only post office in a cave in the world. And I thought, is it really worth going to the other ones? And thank God we did. Because I've never had goosebumps, butterflies in my stomach like I've had here anywhere else. This is an enormous canyon inside of the cave with the river streaming through and the path literally being along the side of the wall, just at the edge. It was phenomenal. And aside from this, there is a hike attached to it, so your visit actually takes a lot longer than just this canyon. And it was one of my favorite days in my travels of all time. Oh, and we also saw the castle near the caves, but that was probably the least impressive thing out of this whole day. We loved it. And then from Ljubljana, we went to Bled, where we spent a few nights as well. Lake Bled is probably the sight to see in Slovenia. It's the most popular one, but I would say it is worth the hype. We took a boat ride on the lake, we did the alpine roller coaster, we took bicycles to drive around the lake. We had the best weather, which made it as magical as we had dreamed of. Near Lake Bled, you can visit the Vintarkoč as well. Definitely watch the vlog if you want to see how it went and our experiences, because yeah, I definitely would have done it differently next time around. From here you can go to Bohinj Lake as well. The Slavica waterfall is a waterfall that you can visit nearby the lake. There is also the cable car that goes up the Mount Vogel, which gives you an incredible panoramic view of the Triglav National Park and the lake below. We decided to visit the Triglav National Park from another place more in the north, so we visited the Julian Alps or the Slovenian Alps from two different clampings up north near Kranjska Gora. This is pretty much like the hub of northern Slovenia. We visited the Perišnik waterfall, the Martuljski waterfalls. We actually did the entire big hike, which we were not prepared for. We really underestimated it, but it was stunning. All of the sites there were free, whereas all of the sites and the parking, etc. near Lake Bled are paid. So it's a big difference, and it's only half an hour away. Anyway, aside from the waterfalls, we saw the lakes, Jasna Lake and Selenci National Park. We then drove all the way down to Bovic and Soča, which are located along the Soča River, where we did rafting. You can do so many different adrenaline sports on the river here. It is one of the most popular rivers to go rafting, kayaking in all of Europe. The water is so crystal clear. It is cold, but you get proper equipment to shield you from this glacial water, but it is stunning. We didn't have any more time, but there are some more waterfalls near here, the Tolmin Gorge. Socha itself has a canyon. The Boka and Kozak waterfalls as well looked worth the visit, but we didn't have any more time. Before we actually saw all of this in Slovenia, we passed through already on our way to Montenegro, and we stayed in Maribor and we visited Ptuj. These weren't necessarily our favorite places in Slovenia. If you have time, you can go to the east of the country. There's a lot more vineyards and so on, but my personal favorite was going to the wine fountain, which was close to the coast, and there for 15 euros you could use the wine fountain, have 3 glasses of wine with an incredible view of the coastline. I loved this experience. And then in between the east and the capital, there is another part of Slovenia that we didn't get to visit. It's called Velika Planina, which also is a mountain town with these wooden huts that the herders use in the summertime. There's another waterfall and a beautiful scenic route and mountain views. In total, we spent 10 days in Slovenia. We spent 3 nights in the Alps, 3 nights near Lake Bled. We spent 2 nights between the caves and the coast, but we also visited Trieste and so on. So yeah, I would count that into it. And we did spend a night in Maribor as well. Technically, you could visit the country in a week, but I would definitely recommend 2 weeks. Maybe add on Istria in Croatia or the Plitvice Lakes, which are the most beautiful waterfalls in Europe. Also, the Great Una National Park in Bosnia is right across the border from there. And this way, you will have seen the most amazing waterfalls and the most amazing caves of Europe. And Alps and coastline. I could not get enough of this. I will be making another video about itineraries and so on. If you do have more time than a week and you do want to combine Slovenia with a few other places, then I will get into it in another video as well. But let's talk about what everything cost us. What was our budget and what did we spend on what? Anyway, our daily average cost for accommodation was 21 euros. We always try to contribute to small businesses, local people staying at apartments or local hotels and not at big resorts or, international hotels. I will link the accommodations we stayed at in the description below. Our favorites were the 2 glampings we stayed at up north, which was the Mountain View glamping and the Gosnajaza glamping as well. We stayed at an incredible Airbnb with Simon near Lake Bled, which had the perfect location. We could use the bikes also to drive down to the lake. So we weren't really at the lake itself, but we were just far enough removed. We could see the castle and we had the best view over the entire valley and a fully equipped kitchen that we could use. Then when it came to food, like I said, we mostly cooked at the apartments we stayed, or we would get our lunch at the local bakeries. We did do an amazing barbecue at one of the glampings as well. But be aware because shops are closed on Sundays, so you will have to be prepared and get your stuff on a Saturday. They have incredible truffles, wine that are locally produced, the little kebabs, the bureks, which we have lost counts on the amount of bureks we had. Then we drove through Slovenia, costing us 2 tanks of diesel at 144 euros per liter. The parking, like I said, kind of depended on the day and the place. And we did have to get the vignette to drive on the roads, which was 32 euros for a month or 16 for a week. You can simply buy it online or get it at the border. This does mean, contrary to, for example, Austria, that you will not have to pay for any tolls. And then let's have a look at what the activities cost us. We spent 32 euros 90 on visiting the Postojna cave, which was quite expensive, but totally worth it. The second one we did was the Skosjan cave, the one with the canyon, cost us 22 euros per person. Our boat trip on Lake Bled, 10 euros per person. Renting a little rowboat is 20 euros per hour. We visited the Vintar Gorge for 15 euros per person. We did the Alpine roller coaster for 22 per person. We actually did it twice because one time is over too fast, so we did do it twice. Then anything we visited up north in the Alps was completely free. We didn't even pay for parking. And the river rafting is usually around 60 euros per person, bringing our daily average total to 55 euros a day. For European standards, is not bad at all. A few things to keep in mind when visiting Slovenia is that if you do plan on hiking, beware of the ticks, because they do have ticks in the forest, and check yourself after coming back from a hike. You can also protect yourself wearing repellents and just long trousers and long sleeves, etc. Mosquitoes, obviously with all the lakes, might be an issue in summertime. Right now, we were not bothered by them at all. And if you do plan on going on hikes, then check out the apps Komoot and All Trails. They don't have all the hikes on there, like the Martuljak waterfall was not on there entirely, which did cause some confusion to us and made us do a much bigger hike than we first set off to. In the end, I didn't even pay for them. I just used the free app. And that is it. If you have any more questions about traveling Slovenia, then leave them in the description below and I'll be happy to answer them. If you are looking forward to more videos of Croatia, then definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It does help me out. And then I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!